The head of Russia's private military group Wagner has said that the situation in Bakhmut is quote-unquote very tough. The statement comes as Russia continues to make attempts to capture the Ukrainian city. In an audio message, Wagner's head said, "The closer the fighters get to the center of the city, the harder the fighting becomes." Russian Defense Ministry has said that its forces had killed more than 200 Ukrainian service members in the last 24 hours. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that more than 1,000 Russian troops have been killed in less than a week in Bakhmut. He added that 1,500 Russian soldiers have been wounded badly enough to keep them out of the battle. Ukraine has also destroyed more than 10 Russian ammunition depots. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has arrived in Iran. This is an official visit to mark 30 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries. The visit aims to strengthen their ties over trade and investment. Lukashenko was greeted by the Iranian Minister of Industry. He also met Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi and is likely to meet Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Chinese President Xi Jinping will reportedly travel to Russia to meet his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. This comes as China has been offering to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. In January, a Russian news agency reported that Putin had invited Xi to visit in the spring. Last month, Putin hosted China's top diplomat Wang Yi in Moscow. Chinese President Xi Jinping has said that the country must modernize its military to make it, quote-unquote, a great wall of steel. He made the statement after being chosen as the head of state for the third time. He pointed out that China must achieve greater self-reliance and strength in science and technology. The statement comes amidst mounting tensions between the US and China. The US is taking steps to block China's access to chip-making equipment and other technologies. North Korea has test-fired 2 strategic cruise missiles from a submarine. This came right before South Korea and the US were scheduled to begin 11 days of joint drills called Freedom Shield 23. South Korea said it's regrettable that North Korea is using regular defensive drills as a pretext for provocation. The country also said that its military is on high alert and is working with the US to analyze the specifics of North Korea's missile launch. Former US Vice President Mike Pence has said that history will hold Donald Trump accountable for his role in the US Capitol Riot. He added that Trump was wrong and his reckless words endangered Pence's family and everyone at the Capitol that day. Thousands of Trump supporters stormed the US Capitol on January 6, 2021, days before Joe Biden was scheduled to take oath. Rioters called for Pence to be hanged. Hundreds of migrants tried to cross into the US from Mexico. They were mostly from Venezuela. Many of them had small children with them. The migrants could not breach the crossing connecting the two countries. After some pushing and shoving, the crowd eventually withdrew. Migrants have been facing problems in securing appointments to seek asylum using a new application by the US government. They say that they face persistent glitches on the application. At least 8 people have died after 2 fishing boats capsized off the coast of San Diego in the US state of California. Search and rescue operations began on Saturday night. Officials have called this one of the worst smuggling tragedies in San Diego. British Prime Minister Rishi Sonak met his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese in San Diego in the US state of California. This comes ahead of a high-level meeting. Australia is set to receive nuclear-powered submarines. This will be Canberra's biggest ever defense project. Britain, Australia and the US formed an alliance called AUKUS in 2021. This was part of their effort to counter China in the Indo-Pacific. Authorities in Lahore have allowed the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party to stage a rally on Monday. This came hours after PTI's planned election rally was called off. PTI's leader and former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan said the government wants to provoke clashes for the sake of FIRs. Authorities have now allowed rallies, But speeches against constitutional office remain banned. Japan has eased its guidelines to wear face masks. Now, wearing a face mask will be a personal choice. In January, South Korea limited the policy of wearing face masks indoors. Singapore has allowed people to not wear face masks on public transport. The US and England have halted most mask mandates. Storm clouds were spotted over a vineyard in California. A rainstorm known as an atmospheric river is expected to follow. It will bring more snow and rain to Northern California. Forecasters say the Sierra Nevada mountains will witness up to 4 feet of snow in the coming week. Flood warnings and advisories have been issued throughout Central California and in parts of Nevada. At least 6 people have died in Peru over the last few days as Cyclone Yaku triggered torrential rains. Hundreds of homes have been affected. President Dina Boluarte visited affected parts of northern Peru. A state of emergency has been declared. Relief operations are underway. Cyclone Freddy battered central Mozambique on Sunday. Freddy made landfall for the second time in a month. One of the port towns witnessed strong winds and heavy rains. Electricity supply has been cut in the affected areas. More than 170,000 people were affected after the cyclone swept through southern Mozambique. 27 people have died across Mozambique and Madagascar. Queensland and Australia is facing record-breaking floods. This has been triggered by heavy rains over the past week. More than 90 residents had to be airlifted. The eastern part of Australia has been facing frequent flooding over the last 2 years. This is due to a multi-year La Nina weather event. Parts of Spain are facing record-breaking temperatures for this time of year. Temperatures approached 30 degrees Celsius, the highest since 1981. People made their way to beaches amid rising temperatures. Rainfall is expected in the northwest of the peninsula. Argentina's capital, Buenos Aires, is also facing record temperatures for the month of March. The temperature surged past 30 degrees Celsius, the highest since 1952. Argentina has been hit by drought since last year. It has affected key crops like soybean, corn, and wheat. High temperatures and heat waves are impacting the harvest. Forest fires raged in northern and western parts of India. This comes with the season's first heat wave. A wildlife sanctuary in the state of Goa caught fire on Saturday. Forest authorities sprayed waters on the burning patches. Meanwhile, Tehri city in Uttarakhand also faced raging forest fires. On an average, India is losing 1 million hectares to fires each year. Japan marked the 12th anniversary of the 2011 earthquake, tsunami, and Fukushima nuclear disaster. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida attended a memorial event in Fukushima. The 9-magnitude earthquake and tsunami affected large parts of Japan's northeastern coast. More than 20,000 people died. The natural disasters triggered meltdowns in 3 of the 6 reactors of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant, causing massive amounts of radiation. Thousands of homes became uninhabitable. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said that the federal government won't bail out the failed Silicon Valley Bank. Yellen's statement comes after it emerged that the bank's workers landed bonuses just hours before Friday's collapse. Depositors could now get back as little as 30% of their money during an anticipated run on the bank in the coming days. Tech giant Microsoft has conducted a 3rd round of layoffs. The latest layoffs have impacted employees in roles related to supply chain, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things. According to media reports, the 3rd wave of layoffs are part of the 10,000 job cuts announced by Microsoft earlier this year. The company has said that job cuts were made across various levels, functions, teams, and geographies. Facebook parent company Meta has said it would end the availability of news content for Canadians. The platform will take the drastic measure if the country's Online News Act passes in its current form. Canada's Online News Act lays rules to force tech companies like Meta and Alphabet to negotiate commercials. The proposed law also calls for tech companies to pay publishers for their content. Taiwan authorities have accused China of using TikTok to spread disinformation. Authorities claim that this is aimed at creating suspicion and sabotaging Taiwan-US relations. Taiwan is still evaluating the issue while referencing the methods adopted by other countries. Many countries have banned Chinese apps like TikTok amid rising user data security concerns. China's BYD will not consider building its first European car factory in the UK because of the impact of Brexit. BYD is the world's largest seller of electric and hybrid cars. It's now targeting sales of about 800,000 cars annually in Europe by 2030. Areas in Germany, France, Spain, Poland and Hungary have been shortlisted as possible locations for its new factory. Tesla Cybertruck's size has apparently been revealed through executives who attended Investor Day. They've confirmed that it's just a bit smaller than the original prototype. The Cybertruck has about the same exterior dimensions as an F-150 Raptor Super Crew. It will have 5 seats. The Cybertruck will also feature an 18-inch center display and a second-row center display, much like the Tesla Model S. Media reports suggest that Apple CEO Tim Cook wanted to introduce an AR/VR headset as soon as possible. However, Cook faced objections from the design team. They sought to delay the launch to create a thinner, lighter and more powerful product. Now, Apple is speculated to announce the headset's launch at its upcoming developer event. Google is expected to announce its next affordable smartphone, the Pixel 7a, in its upcoming annual developers conference. The Pixel 7a, powered by the Tensor G2 processor, will succeed the Pixel 6a. It's expected to look almost identical. Google's annual developers conference is expected to kick off by May 10th. The company is also likely to introduce Android 14 and a few other things at the event. Researchers have created a superconducting material. It works both at a temperature and a pressure low enough to actually use in practical situations. The material is able to transmit electricity without resistance and pass magnetic fields around the material. The discovery could lead to power grids that are able to seamlessly transmit energy. Researchers from the University of the West of England's Unconventional Computing Laboratory have developed a mushroom computer. According to the team, mushrooms are ideal to experiment with because their mycelium acts like the human brain. This trait allowed the scientists to use mushrooms as motherboard component analogues. If scientists are to be believed, the research may also lead to advancements in machine-brain interfacing. Former English striker and BBC presenter Gary Lineker will return to the match of the day on Saturday. Lineker was taken off air over his tweets criticizing the government's migration policy last week. The BBC has apologized for the episode and announced an independent review into its social media usage guidelines. English Premier League leaders Arsenal have restored their 5-point lead at the top of the table. This comes after the Gunners' emphatic 3-0 victory over Fulham on Sunday. Gabriel Martinelli and captain Martin Odegaard all scored in the first half. The Gunners have now become the first team ever to win 5 consecutive away London derbies without conceding a goal. French footballer Antoine Griezmann has unveiled his wax statue at Paris's the Musée Grévin. He is the 3rd French footballer to have a statue in the museum. Wax figures of Kylian Mbappe and Zinedine Zidane are also present at the museum. Griezmann was a key member of the French football team that reached the final of the 2022 FIFA World Cup. He also won the Player of the Tournament at UEFA Euro 2016. Brazilian footballer Rafinha scored the only goal as La Liga leaders Barcelona defeated Athletic Bilbao at San Mamés. With the crucial win, Barca was able to restore their 9-point lead over second-placed Real Madrid. The Brazil international struck in first-half stoppage time. The goal was given after a VAR check. Initially, the offside flag had gone up. Former Indian skipper Virat Kohli scored his first Test century since 2019. Kohli's 186 and Shubham Gill's 128 helped India to establish a 91-run lead against the Aussies. The visitors were bowled out for 480 in their first innings. India has won the crucial fourth Test. Pro golfer Scotty Scheffler has reclaimed the #1 spot in the PGA World Rankings. This after Scheffler ran away with the Players' Championship title on Sunday. She carded a final round 3 under 69 in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. With Sunday's win, Scheffler has become the third player to hold both the Masters and Players' Championship titles at the same time. Hong Kong's Angus Ka Long claimed his long-awaited 5th Badminton World Tour title. Angus beat China's Li Shifeng in a Marathon German Open final in Mulheim on Sunday. The last time 28-year-old Angus lifted a title was 3 years ago. He won the Thailand Masters after defeating Li on his way to the final. In tennis, Chilean qualifier Cristian Garin shocked third-seeded Casper Ruud to reach the 4th round at Indian Wells on Sunday. Garin's attacking game paid off as he dispatched world number 4 Ruud in just under 2 hours. During the course of the match, Ruud was able to break Garin's serve only once. The Chilean is now set to face Spain's Alejandro Davidovich in their upcoming round of 16 match. UAE Team Emirates star cyclist Tadej Pogacar has won the 81st edition of Paris-Nice by winning the final stage. He was in total control in the hills overlooking Nice, launching a stunning attack on the final climb. By the time he hit the final segment leading towards the finish line, he was able to begin his celebrations. "It was always my dream to win Paris-Nice. The fact I did it is incredible," exclaimed an ecstatic Pogacar. Pickleball has become America's fastest growing sport. It's a paddle sport that sits somewhere between table tennis and full-size tennis. In 2022, the number of pickleball players nearly doubled to 8.9 million in the US. The sudden interest has pushed pickleball past older sports like softball and volleyball. The sport now intends to close its gap with lawn tennis, which has around 23.6 million players. Everything Everywhere All at Once wins the Oscar in 7 categories. The movie won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, among others. This makes it the most awarded film since Slumdog Millionaire. The 2008 film had won the Oscars in 8 categories. Malaysian actor Michelle Yeoh wins the Best Actress Oscar. Yeoh won the award for Everything Everywhere All at Once. This makes Yeoh the second woman of color to win the Best Actress Oscar. Yeoh called it a historic moment.
And without them, none of us will be here.
Actor Brendan Fraser wins the Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Fraser played a morbidly obese English teacher in The Whale. This is Fraser's first ever Oscar nomination and win in his 30-year career. Fraser said it has been a lesson in humility. The Elephant Whisperers is the first Indian production to win Best Documentary Short Film. The 41-minute documentary is directed by debutant director Karthiki Gonzalez. This makes it producer Guneet Munga's second Oscar win. Munga's 2019 joint production, Period, End of Sentence, had won in the same category. Natu Natu from the film RRR wins Best Original Song. The song is composed by MM Keeravani. The song was reproduced live on stage at the ceremony. This makes Natu Natu the first song from an Indian production to win. Jai Ho from Danny Boyle's 2008 film Slumdog Millionaire had won in the same category. All Quiet on the Western Front wins the Oscars in 4 categories. The film won Best International Feature Film and Original Score, among others. The anti-war film is directed by Edward Berger. Oscars 2023 host Jimmy Kimmel made Slapgate jokes on more than one occasion. He told guests to put your hands together and then keep them to yourself. Almost 2 hours into the ceremony, he reminded guests again. He said, "This point in the show kind of makes you miss the slapping a little bit, right?" Last year, Smith slapped Chris Rock, landing Smith a 10-year ban. Actors Halle Berry and Jessica Chastain present the award for Best Actress. The honor is usually reserved for the reigning Best Actor. Will Smith won the Best Actor award for King Richard in 2022, but he was given a 10-year ban from the Oscars following last year's Slapgate incident. Singer-actor Lady Gaga wore a black t-shirt and ripped jeans for her Oscars performance. Lady Gaga arrived at the red carpet in a black Versace gown. She later traded it for a more comfortable look. She performed Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick. Although she didn't win, she received a standing ovation at the end. The post-Oscars Governor's Ball dinner was led by chef Wolfgang Puck. This made it Puck's 29th year hosting Hollywood's biggest after-party. Specialities included fish and chips, smoked salmon, and vegan pizza. A chocolate Oscars trophy dipped in gold leaf was also given to the guests.